In our last development phase, much of the development and gameplay was focused inside the Fortress of Ashendale. But now, we're taking a bold step forward, expanding the game world beyond the fortress walls. In this update, I'll walk you through everything we've accomplished over the past few months. We've created 2 brand new levels, expanded existing areas, added new enemies, a new mini-boss, and introduced new gameplay features that further enrich the world of Wisplight. Let's begin! For those of you who are new here, I'm June and I'm making this game called Wisplight. It's a reverse RPG where you play as a wisp who can transform into different monsters. Our goal is to eliminate human settlers invading and exploiting magical resources from our island home. Now for our first huge update. Starting monster classes. We now have a new game menu where we can select the starting monster class that we will be playing. These are the starting monster classes. First, we have the Wisp. I plan on having the Wisp start off in a location under an ancient cave ruin, where you will play some easy puzzles that utilizes the Wisp imbue abilities. Then, this will lead to the Wisp discovering the Spriggan, which will give us the ability to transform into a wood-like creature, which is actually our second option on the monster class selection. Basically, the starting areas will just merge into the rest of the monster types. The only difference is their starting perks, which is unique to the monster type that you will choose. When you play as the Spriggan, you'll have your very own starting area and tutorials, along with your very own unique perk. Playing as the Spriggan will then lead to the Skeleton storyline, which will let you conjure the Skeleton monster type. The Skeleton is also an option in the starting classes, but will give you a different storyline, different starting area, and a different unique perk. Basically, whichever monster you choose, you'll eventually have all 3 available for conjuring once you're done with the tutorial levels. The only difference is the starting unique perk. New levels. We've expanded the world of Wisplight with new levels. Previously, we only had the Fortress of Ashendale, but now we've added an entire ruined city and an expansive sewer system. First up, we have the ruined city of Ashendale. In this area, you'll find mercenaries going about their business, and it also houses one of their main strongholds. This adds a lot of dynamic gameplay and conflict in the city's decay. Right beside the city lies the graveyard, an extension to the ruined church. Here, grave diggers can be seen burying their fallen comrades, adding to the atmosphere of sorrow and mourning. Below all of these, we have the sewers, home to the glowing lampreys and the lamprey hunters who seek them. Each of these new levels will offer unique gameplay and rich lore, which I'll delve more in a separate devlog. Feel free to subscribe to get updates. New enemies and equipment. With each new level added, I also added new enemies to the game. Here we have the lamprey hunters, which you'll find down in the sewers. They will roam the sewers, hunting lampreys for food. So at the moment, we have the lamprey hunter spear variant. And in the future, I'll be adding a new variant with a new AI behavior to this enemy group. Along with the lamprey hunters, we have our very first neutral NPC, the lamprey. So at the moment, we only have the model of the lampreys. The animations and AI behavior still under development. Above ground, in the graveyard, we have the grave diggers dragging and burying corpses of the fallen. They wield shovels with them, which is actually equipment that we can use. The shovel has blunt type damage similar to the mace, but has longer reach. So at the moment, the shovel can be wielded as a one-handed weapon. but in future updates, this will be updated into a two-handed weapon similar to the halberd and the claymore. The shovel is also our very first tool equipment, which has its own unique functionality in the game. With the shovel, you can dig fresh graves and find random loot buried. You can also use the shovel in certain events that will happen in the game, which I can't disclose yet as of the moment. New mini-boss. In one of the strongholds, I added a new mini-boss, a shield-type mercenary champion that has a defensive fighting style. He will carry with him a refined shield and a standard sword. I designed him to have lower health compared to other mini-bosses we've made before, since this part of the game is still in early stages where the player has lower stats and skill. I also decided to make this boss defensive so that it will be easier for players to practice fighting mini-bosses. In this encounter, I also added a new feature to the game, the very first droppable item apart from the weapons and shields. As you can see, he is carrying with him on his waist an aether vessel, a device used to contain captured wisps. When you defeat enemies like him carrying aether vessels, this vessel will drop, and you can rescue the wisp trapped within and let it merge with you for additional stats and skill points. Another mini-boss I made is the Sentinel. Sentinels are low health enemies, but guard specific areas of the map that prevents or hinders player exploration. Here, we have a Ballista Sentinel that guards the front of Ashendale. This will stop the player from exploring areas that are within the Ballista's range. Defeating the Sentinel will disable the Ballista, giving the player freedom to explore the previously guarded location. This is one unique way to gatekeep players from accessing other parts of the level, or encourages the player to be creative and find other ways to get through the bombardment of ballista bolts, rewarding them for their skill and agility. Tutorial tips. During our previous playtest, I noticed a common issue. Players often miss out on important game features that could enhance their experience. For instance, there was no clear way for players to know about the lock-on feature, which could be accessed by pressing the middle mouse button. To address this, I've added tutorial tips to the game. These are helpful pop-up tips that will appear on the screen to guide players through key mechanics that might not be immediately obvious. Now, when players are exploring the game, you'll be greeted with occasional pop-ups. These tips will introduce players to mechanics and features that aren't explicitly explained in the game. The pop-ups will be strategically scattered throughout the environment, ensuring players get to learn useful features as they venture deeper into the game. This change will make it easier for players to gradually discover new mechanics and improve their gameplay experience without feeling lost or overwhelmed.
One of them's coming! To arms!
World Streaming Optimization. As the game continues to grow, more assets are loaded into the game, which can impact performance. To address this, I've implemented a world streaming system that dynamically unloads parts of the game when they're not needed, ensuring a smoother experience. I've divided the levels into different sectors, and only the sectors that are actively in use or visible will be loaded. For example, when the player is exploring the sewers, there's no reason to load the upper parts of the levels like the fortress or the city ruins. The World Streaming Manager takes care of this by activating only necessary sectors as the player progresses through the game. This system optimizes performance, especially in areas where asset rendering is heavy, by ensuring only relevant sections are loaded in the camera view. This optimization significantly improves performance and reduces unnecessary loading times, making the game run much more efficiently, especially in larger areas. Save system. During our community playtest, players frequently ask about the ability to save progress. As the game grows larger and longer, a few hours of playtime is no longer enough to complete the entire demo, so I prioritize implementing a save system to address this need. The save system is fully automatic, meaning players don't have to manually save their progress. However, there is no load feature. This decision was made to preserve the real tension when battling enemies, especially when carrying large amount of catalysts. Players must face the consequences of their actions, whether it's making tough decisions during events or taking risk in combat. By removing the ability to reload the last save, players will experience a more intense, immersive game where their choices matter. Additionally, I've added safeguards to ensure a smooth experience. If players attempt to exit the game while in combat, they'll receive a notification informing them that saving can't happen while in combat. Another safeguard warns players if they try to exit the game prematurely, which could corrupt their save files. The save system design aims to keep the game challenging and immersive, ensuring that every decision feels impactful. Armory System. During one of our previous playtests, Kelly and Erin, two of our dedicated playtesters, had a similar experience that inspired a new feature for Wisplight. Both Kelly and Erin managed to defeat the dual-wielding champion, who dropped two powerful falchions capable of mowing down enemies effortlessly. Armed with these high-damage weapons, they each swept through the fortress, cutting down enemies with ease. However, their winning streaks ended when they encountered the Halber champion, a formidable foe who ultimately defeated them both. Upon respawning and breaking free from the Aether vessel, they both asked the same question: did I lose my high damage falchions? Or something similar. Both were disappointed to find that their prized weapons were gone. This shared experience sparked the idea for a new feature, the Armory System. The Armory System ensures players have a chance to retrieve their dropped weapons. When you're captured, nearby enemies will pick up your lost gear and store it in weapons rack within the area. This mechanic creates an opportunity for players to recover their valuable items by exploring the environment and defeating foes guarding their stash. But that's not all. There are other exciting ways to reclaim your weapons. For instance, you might encounter an enemy wielding your weapon, forcing you to defeat them in battle to take it back. Or you could come across a human trader caravan on the roads while exploring, carrying your lost weapon among their wares. The Armory System adds a layer of tension, strategy, and storytelling to Wisplight, ensuring that every weapon earned, lost, and reclaimed becomes part of the player's personal journey. Ashendale Fortress Rework. New changes added to the Fortress of Ashendale. First is the scaffoldings area. Previously, this area is blocked. Now, it's already accessible for exploration. I also changed parts of the back section of the fortress, specifically the area where the ballista is located. Halber Champion Rework. Through several playtests, including one memorable session with John, a seasoned Souls-like player who completely dismantled the Halberd champion, we identified a key issue. The Halberd champion's attack patterns were too predictable. The animations could easily be memorized, and the repetitive nature of the combat made it less engaging for experienced players. To address this, I decided to rework the Halberd champion by introducing variations to his attack patterns. These changes aim to break the flow of easily memorized sequences, forcing players to adapt dynamically during combat. Mercenary Captain Eldri Rework. Learning from several playtests with Souls-like players, I decided to rework Eldri by adding new attack patterns to enhance the challenge. These changes aim to make his moves unpredictable while ensuring they are still well telegraphed. This balance maintains fairness, even with the added unpredictability, ensuring players feel rewarded for mastering his combat style. Of all the playtesters who've tested the game, only 2 players defeated our settlement boss. John defeated Eldri on his second try, and Vibes managed to defeat a more buffed version of Eldri on his third try. If you want to test out your skill, I invite you to playtest the game with us on Discord. I made a special role for playtesters who defeat Eldri, called Eldri Slayer. It's a small trophy for early playtesters who defeated him and helped make the game better. A huge thank you to our Patreons for their continued support. Games like Wisplight are really expensive to make, and we're currently funding the project through our family savings and the generous contributions of our patrons. Your support is what keeps the development moving forward. If you consider helping out with the development, you can support the funding by subscribing to our Patreon. Every bit helps us create a better experience for everyone. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for updates and exclusive content. And make sure to wishlist Wisplight on Steam to stay updated on its release. Thanks again, see you on Discord, till next time.